All right, we're talking George Howanitz here is a brand new football coach, and you have always been associated with Valley View, and there was a guy across the street here went to Valley View. He goes, "Hey, he could have been at Montrose. He was a kid up at Montrose, but everybody knows you for the Cougars. Now you're going to be a new program, the Honesdale Hornets. Let's talk a little bit about the process and things kind of moved pretty quickly here.
Yeah, it did. It moved pretty fast. It opened up. I'd spoken to some people from Honesdale that thought they might be interested in bringing me in as a coach. So, went through the process, interviewed. I'm excited. I always said, even my last couple of years at Valley View, I wanted to see what it would be like to kind of rebuild or build up a program. And you're right, coming from Montrose, my dad coached in Montrose in the 80s. I was a manager, and there was always kind of an uphill battle all the time. So this is, and my dad, I think, felt the same way about rebuilding. So this is it's a way for me to be in a similar community, great people, great school, great admin, great bunch of kids and coaching staff that was there. So, a lot of great pieces and some things I think I can build on and hopefully get them to a point where, instead of, I said in my interview, instead of being happy with winning 6 games, maybe getting to a point where we can win 10, 11, 12 like it was when I was at Valley View my last couple of years there.
The kids at Honesdale, I talked to a bunch the last couple of years. You got a lot of blue-collar kids that might not take their step to college, but, you got farm kids. You got, hey, I'm going to go into, Johnson Tech, or I'm going to go into, work on my dad's farm or different things like that. You got some nice kids there to work with and good families at Honesdale.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a close-knit community. I'm really looking forward to that. Coming from Valley View, another great community where everybody, loves football, loves sports. Maybe a little different when we get to Honesdale just because they haven't had as much of the wins, the championships as Valley View's had. But I think I think the people there are starved for that. I think they're going to be excited, for what I can bring. And like I said, hopefully getting to a point where it's a year in and year out, rebuild kind of, I should say really reload, not a rebuild, where we can make the playoffs each year, win some playoff games, maybe win a district championship, and, get the people, I think, what they've wanted since the 80s. I think when Butch Keller and, Taryn Ash and players like that were there when it was a exciting atmosphere and something that Honesdale wanted, and I'm hoping we can get us back to that.
Exciting is that turf and the stadium at Honesdale now, brand new stuff. I mean, a long time coming there.
Yeah, I think it's, I think they're taking steps in the right direction. I think, like I said, I think they know the community wants to get a good football program there and get sports. They just had a great basketball season, girls and boys basketball seasons, and, the wrestling program's top notch. So, I know they have always had good baseball, and the track team's always been good, and I'm sure some of the other sports are excellent as well. And I'm just hoping we can add football to that list. And like I said, I am with Valley View. I want to get a community behind a program. I'm going to do my best to do that, and hopefully on a Friday night that'll be the place to be.
You talk a little bit about in this day and age trying to get coaches, not easy. I'm sure you're going to look at the existing coaching staff. There's guys that still teach in the district or are available to coach, and then if you're able to find some other guys to be on that Honesdale staff with you.
Yeah, we have Paul had a great staff there. Paul did a great job in the last 5 or 6 years building up to where they're at, and I'm going to do my best to bring as many of those guys if they want to come along, to have them stay. And then I have some other people that I'd like to bring from out of the school district that I've asked to come. I'm just waiting for a yes, which I hope I'll get. And I want to try to build a great staff that'll teach kids football. I think that's what everything starts with at the high school level. You got to be a football coach / teacher of the game. So I'm going to get guys around me that'll teach the kids, one, how to win, and two, X's and O's, and like I said, see what kind of damage we could do on a Friday.
I always say, you see different coaches at different levels step away from the game, and then there's that kind of always that burning desire. Maybe I want to try this again, I'm not sure, but talk a little bit about what life was like, enjoying a little bit of your kids, obviously, but away from the game, did you take anything from that?
Yeah, I think, and you and I talked about this last year when we did the Friday shows. I'm going to see Dylan every week play baseball in the spring, going to see Adam, in the fall play football at Pitt. So between Pittsburgh and Boston College, and Dylan was at Westchester before that. So I've been sports, to the max for the last X amount of years. And Addison plays a lot of sports at Valley View. So my wife Eileen and I have done a lot of sports stuff. But we talked about it. I think sitting in the stands watching and kind of seeing the way some things played out with certain games and things, I'd go home and go, man, I don't know why they did this, or I would have done this. And I think the wheels start to turn a little bit. And then, like I said, you get a great place like Honesdale where I think I could put my footprint on things and implant some things I've learned and maybe some things I've seen the last couple of years for some teams. And like I said, hopefully get them to a point where, when I interviewed, I kept hearing, oh, this isn't Valley View, this isn't Valley View. And my question to myself was, well, why can't it be? So, I'm going to do everything I can to try to get it to that point where, like I did the last 6, 7, 8 years of Valley View, playing for a district championship each year. And like I said, hoping the kids can be as excited as I am getting ready for this new opportunity.
Let's talk about the people reaching out to you. And, you got to kind of contain that a little bit. A lot of people probably excited, but some people are like, I wish you were here, what have you. But, hey, it is what it is. And it's a great opportunity. I'm sure, like you said, you're all in, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, that's what I wanted. If somebody came to me and said, you can go coach at a school that was 12-0 last year, I don't know if I would have taken that. I think this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted that. Listen, I am so excited that people doubt that I could go there and win games. I think that's my wife says I've never seen you this excited, and I think that's why. I think there's a lot of people that don't think people can win there. And my hope is I can change that, and I think that's the challenge behind it. Like I said, it's a great district, and there's a lot of great pieces up there that I think when we get all the pieces together, it's going to be a great place to be in the next couple of years.
As far as a style of offense or defense, people say, hey, well, you got to go with what you have, but you probably have a hard mindset of like, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to figure it out.
Well, defensively, I'm coming at you. So, I said that in an interview last week. I mean, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to blitz every player. We're going to send guys from a lot of places. And, I'm a gambler when it comes to special teams and things like that. So we're going to have fake punts and do some things that are probably unorthodox. And that's why I think, I was successful at Valley View. We kept teams on their toes and did some things that they didn't think most coaches would do. So I'll do that. Offensively, I'm kind of up in the air. I'm going to see what we do staff-wise and who ends up in certain spots, and we'll adapt that to the kids we have. And like I said, I want something that's sustainable. It doesn't do me. I think as a high school program, you can't be happy being good once every 4 years. You got to be sustainable, and that's where I'd like to be. And I'm going to get a staff there that'll help us to do that.
George Howanitz, the new football coach for Howansdale, the Hornets. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.